I'm controlling my abusive stepfather's access to my dying mother the same way he controlled my teenage life. My stepfather is finally experiencing what it feels like to have someone else dictate when and how he can see the person he loves most. And I'm not sorry. For 15 years, this man made my life a living hell. From age 12 to 27, he controlled every aspect of my existence with military precision. My friends couldn't visit without his approval. Every conversation was monitored. Every plan had to be cleared through him first. God forbid I wanted to stay out past 9 p.m. or have a phone call in private. My house, my rules, he'd say, while my mother nodded along like a bobblehead. The worst part wasn't even the rules themselves. It was watching my mother choose him over me, every single time. When I'd beg her to talk to him about his unreasonable restrictions, she'd whisper, "You know how he gets when he's upset. Just do what he says to keep the peace. Keep the peace." That phrase still makes my blood boil. He'd criticize everything I did. My grades weren't good enough, even when I had straight A's. My appearance was wrong. My career choices were stupid. My friends were bad influences. Nothing I ever did met his impossible standards. And my mother just sat there watching him tear me down. The psychological games were the worst part. He'd give me the silent treatment for days over minor infractions, making the whole house tense and miserable. Then he'd act like nothing happened, expecting me to be grateful for his forgiveness. I moved out the day I turned 18 and barely spoke to them for years. Now karma has come full circle in the cruelest way possible. Mom was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's 2 years ago. At first, my stepfather tried to handle everything himself, probably thinking he could control this disease the same way he controlled everything else in their house, but Alzheimer's couldn't care less about his rules. 3 months ago, he called me crying, saying he couldn't handle it anymore. Mom had wandered out of the house twice in 1 week. She was getting aggressive with him. He was exhausted and desperate. "I need your help," he said. "She needs professional care, but I can't afford a facility. Could you take her?" The old me would have said no and hung up. But seeing my mother deteriorate while knowing our relationship had been poisoned by his interference for decades, I couldn't let her suffer because of my anger toward him. So I moved her into my home, but I had conditions. "You can visit," I told him, "but only under the same rules you had for my friends when I lived with you." His face went white. "What do you mean?" "Supervised visits only. 2 hours maximum. You have to call ahead and get approval. If I don't like your attitude or behavior, the visit ends immediately. And you have to earn the privilege of longer visits through good behavior." He exploded, called me vindictive, cruel, heartless, said I was keeping him from his wife, that it was inhuman. "Funny," I said. "You kept me from having a normal relationship with my mother for 15 years. Now you know how it feels." The first few visits were torture for him. He'd sit there, watching the clock, knowing I was timing every minute. He couldn't speak to her privately. I was always there, listening to every word, just like he used to do to me. He started begging for more time. "Please, she's getting worse. I might not have much longer with her." "Then you'd better make these 2 hours count," I replied. Watching this man who once wielded absolute power over my life now having to ask permission to hold his wife's hand is giving me a satisfaction I didn't know I was capable of feeling, but it's complicated. Mom's condition is deteriorating rapidly. Some days she doesn't recognize either of us. Yesterday she asked him who he was and I watched this grown man crumble. Part of me feels guilty. He genuinely loves her and watching her slip away while being restricted in his access is clearly destroying him. But then I remember being 16 and crying because he wouldn't let me go to my best friend's birthday party. I remember my mother's silence when I begged her to stand up for me just once. He's experiencing the same powerlessness he forced on me for years. The same frustration of having someone else control access to what matters most. Maybe I'm becoming the monster he was. Maybe I should be the bigger person and lift these restrictions. But every time he sits in my living room glancing at his watch and waiting for me to decide when his time is up, I think, now you understand. Is this justice? Or have I become just as cruel as he was?